Hello and welcome back to Lombardi Suite, a Packers podcast powered by Flurry Sports. I'm Zach Bruner. With me is Trevor Land, Luke Reimer, and Janet again is recruiting some of these elementary school kids, putting them through the workout. I don't know if it is legal or illegal. Has not been disclosed to us, but hopefully she can, clock a couple nice fast 40s, record some clips, and we can have something to watch for next week, guys. I'm hoping.
Study some film.
She better be. If she's not here, she better be doing something. Put them through the workout. I need to see some kids' verticals. We'll see what happens. Obviously, no Packers news per usual, but we have 3 shows until the NFL draft, okay? So the idea is the week prior to the NFL draft, that Wednesday into Thursday, we will be giving our 7-round mock draft of the Packers, which leaves 2 more shows. And what we will be doing is this week, we will be looking at the offense as a whole, saying our biggest draft needs, ranking those, and then listing some prospects in which, the Packers should ideally target. Obviously, if you're a problem solver, if you're a complex thinker, critical thinker, you would figure out that next week that means we will be doing defense. And I would assume there's a lot more to talk about on the defensive side of the ball. So this week, us 3, the brain trust will be tasked with figuring out the offense. So that's where we will start. I will say, before we jump into that, Goot has been talking about trading up for a player again, which fine, I suppose, but the only way you would be talking about that, in my personal opinion, is if he is specifically talking about the first round. Like, he's not talking about trading up in the 3rd or 4th round for a guy, considering you don't know how the draft's going to play out. So when we do talk about the draft over the next couple weeks, I think we could legitimately be seeing the Packers pick, 15 to 20 or something again. Clearly, Good isn't afraid to trade up for a guy he likes, even if they are going to fall for, to them, clearly, a la Jordan Love. But, so when we are talking through picks tonight, certainly keep that in mind because it definitely seems like it is on the table. But let's just jump into it here. I'll give who I think like the position needs, in my opinion, and then I want to know what you guys think in terms of ranking what we need. If you disagree with me, number 1, I personally think it's pretty obvious, but I just have offensive line as a whole, but specifically offensive tackle, right tackle, obviously in particular. We have Bakhtiari out hurt to start the year on the left. We cut Ricky Wagner on the right. We have players who can fill both roles. We have players who can fill the guards, but we need a starter at right tackle if it's not going to be Billy Turner. So I think offensive tackle is probably the biggest weakness, biggest need. But then going down further, I have wide receiver 2 at number 2. This is, I guess, kind of controversial or cheating. I have a gadget player / returner on for number 3. Like, we need something creative for the offense. It's not Tavon Austin doing whatever he did last year. 4, I have tight end, 5 running back, 6 quarterback. Trevor, I guess you can start. Is there any disagreements with the ranking of what I have?
For me, number 1, I think obviously offensive line. I think that's what most of us are going to have. 2 for me is actually probably running back. Okay. We do have Aaron Jones. We do have him back. Obviously, he'll be good to go. We do have A.J. Dillon. He is also a capable running back. But looking at Jones, granted, I don't know how accurate this is, right? But, there's a website called Sports Injury Predictor. And Aaron Jones is a risk. It predicts the chance he gets injured is 79%. Granted, is that going to happen? Could it be just a week because of, a pulled hamstring? Likely. But that kind of got me thinking. You look at the depth chart, you have Aaron Jones, which is great, and you have A.J. Dillon. But the question is, if Aaron Jones goes down, especially for a long period of time, what do you have behind him, right? Because you have A.J. Dillon, who has not ever really – I mean, he was a 1 for maybe 1 or 2 games last year. He's not been able to show it long term. And behind him, you have Dexter Williams and Patrick Taylor Jr., at least for right now. It's not going to cut it, right? You actually need somebody to be a change of pace back, specifically a guy who can kind of be a Jamal Williams 2.0, a guy who can make some catches and block. So I think offensive line number 1. I don't think, offense needs that much. I think running back 2. And when I say running back 2, I don't mean second round. I obviously mean later in the draft, but I just don't see wide receiver as a need at all. Gadget player would be nice. I'd probably put him behind a running back personally.
My question to you, because this is where my point of view was when I made my rankings, it wasn't necessarily offensive needs, it was draft needs. Mm-hmm. And would you rather the Packers drafted that change of pace, receiving back, third down type of player, or would you rather they go to free agency? Because my personal thoughts is just free agency.
It's tough. It really depends on. It just so much depends on who falls to you, like with everything. And if you wait till the draft, I'm sure there are going to be a lot of guys that are picked up. So it's kind of a catch-22. Do you pick up a free agent and then somebody falls to you, or I would like to go free agency. I would agree with that, but I don't trust this front office to go free agency. And if there's one thing they can do, it's they can draft running backs. So, I'll go with that over free agency personally, just because I've seen them do it successfully before.
That's fair.
To throw my 2 cents in this discussion, I think I disagree with you guys that I'd rather draft someone just because they don't have tread on their tires. They're coming in the NFL ready to go. But I think the Packers are in a very weird spot because I think all 3 of us have been saying since they won the Super Bowl in 2010 that the Packers are still in win now mode. Obviously, drafting someone does not help through the win now mode, rather the development mode. So I think the Packers are definitely in a weird spot right now where maybe you can pick someone up in free agency, but then what if someone slips you in the draft? What if nobody slips in the draft and you miss out on free agency? So it might make more sense to look at free agency where you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to get rather than maybe trying to grab someone for potential that's not going to fill out for another 4 years or something like that.
And like I keep saying over and over again, I just don't think you can draft someone at running back who can immediately give the Packers what they need, which is that ability to be a receiver and also be, thrive in pass protection, which obviously Aaron Jones is certainly not capable of doing that. And then A.J. Dillon, maybe he can grow to it. But it also sounds like there's going to be a lot of virtual offseason program stuff right now. And that could limit his improvement and growing in that area as well. So, I mean, I have a scenario that we can talk through later in which this could happen. But someone like Duke Johnson, I think, would be amazing of a pickup for the Packers right now. Obviously, they won't do it, but I think that would be an unbelievable pickup. Certainly better than a long snapper that hasn't played in 5 years, which is the only one we've done so far.
Do you think someone like Duke Johnson would fill that role for you, Zach, of both the running back and the gadget player?
I don't think I've seen him be used as a gadget player, so that's tough to say. I think it's certainly possible. I'm hoping for a gadget player who can also return the ball, and I know he's not a returner, so maybe he could be doing like jet sweep stuff on offense, which would be cool to include in the game plan. But Packs need a returner no matter what. Like, it's just something we haven't had since, I don't know, Desmond Howard maybe. It's just something that Packers haven't prioritized. I don't know. Gutekunst said that is going to be a priority this offseason, but he also said we're going all in, and we haven't signed anybody. So we'll see.
I had a dream the other day that the Packers signed Aaron Donald. I woke up pretty excited and then kind of crushed me when I woke up and looked at my phone to see if the Packers actually did sign Aaron Donald.
Yeah, and now the only notification about Aaron Donald is that he's getting charged with assault. So
punching people.
Which means Aaron Donald to Dallas Cowboys confirmed. You heard it here first. Breaking news, we give it to you first. He's going to the Dallas Cowboys.
He needs a bad season first, and then the assault charges and stuff. He needs a troubled past, not just knocking people out in Pittsburgh, which happens every day. He's just rich, so there's a lawsuit. So I guess we're in agreement that offensive line is the biggest need. Trevor, you don't think wide receiver 2 is at all? Luke, what do you think about wide receiver in terms of like in the draft?
I'm still on the train that wide receiver is big need. I'm just not comfortable when Marquez Valdes-Scantling catches the ball for whatever reason. I'm not comfortable when Allen Lazard catches the ball. I'm not comfortable when anyone else catches the ball besides Devonta Adams. Obviously, if they draft someone, I'm not going to be, completely happy. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's another Devonta Adams. But the Packers have missed out on some great receivers these last couple of years that really could have helped this team. The receivers this year, I just did some research before. They look, pretty damn good as well. I think you might as well try to snag one of them and see if it works out for you. If not, you're in the exact same situation you are in now.
It makes a lot of sense. Trevor, you go.
Yeah, and wide receiver makes a lot of sense. And I think if you put anybody in that front office that has any common sense, I think that's the greatest decision. The only problem is we don't have that. And so the one thing that I am worried about at wide receiver is we take a gamble or we trade up on a guy who is not a guy that can help you now, kind of like a Jalen Reagor type of guy, a guy who's good, but a guy who's a gamble. Because I see a real big problem happening. The Packers trade up, they paid some future prospects, maybe even current draft picks for a guy like that. Doesn't pan out immediately. Again, you're in win now mode. So that really just gets you absolutely nowhere now, and it gets you behind in the future too. That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Yeah, the Packers need that future star to pair with Jordan Love. Like the Packers need to draft him a weapon, and so he can grow alongside. Wouldn't that be just poetic justice? They finally trade up, or they finally draft a wide receiver in the first round, then they trade Aaron Rodgers after. You don't get to use him. It's not for you. It's for Jordan. They take the toy away. Like, no, you go host Jeopardy.
I know it's a joke, but that seems very seems likely that that would.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not. I'm angry about it because I see that happening. But we can transition to what the Packers should do now. Obviously, offensive line's the biggest need. We all agree. The Packers haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first round since 2011, which was Derek Sherrod.
The boy.
Good job, Packers. First round picks often don't even pan out for the Packers. We swing and miss. Goot talking about how he wants to trade up. Like I said, I think it's first round. I don't see them trading up and having his eye on offensive linemen. So, which makes me nervous. Like if Goot is saying, there's someone we really like, we need to trade up for him. What position do you guys, do you think that would be? Aside from maybe Trey Lance at this point. I don't know. Like another quarterback, maybe. But offensive line, I don't think he would trade up for. I guess I can start with my personal feeling when he says something like that. I think it's going to be, and I can figure out exactly who I'm talking about. I think it's going to be a defensive lineman, not because it's what we need, but because it's Brian Gutekunst. It's the guy from Michigan is who I am thinking. Kwity Paye. I think that's who the Packers are going to trade up and grab. Again, do I like it? No. It's an edge rusher. It's a defensive lineman. It's a guy who can be a program changer is what they think. Rashawn Gary is, which I like Gary. He's not a program changer. I unfortunately think that's where I'm thinking. But put yourself in the mind of Brian Gutekunst. Your hair is gelled perfectly. You stared yourself in the mirror for a while. Trevor, who do you think that they are trading up to get in terms of position?
It's so tough because I'm going to give cop-on answers that I hate. Like, it could go either way. Like, I hate when people say that, but it really is, because it really depends on how this draft goes. I think there is a scenario where Micah Parsons from Penn State, he's slotted to go 7th. I think there's a scenario where he starts falling and the Packers see him going to about the mid-teens and they trade up for him immediately. I think that's a great pick. But I think the most likely is they probably trade up a little bit for Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame, linebacker. He just seems a little more likely to fall. He's ranked about 16th overall, but I've seen a lot of drafts where he actually falls to the Packers at their slot now. And if there's one thing we know about Gutekunst, he will trade up for a guy that was going to be there anyways. So this just seems like that player where he will trade up for a guy that you could have just waited for anyways. So for me, I'd probably go linebacker, because who knows? Maybe they get Parsons. That's a needle in a haystack. That's a 1 in 100. But I just look at Koramoah. I don't mind him. I just see him as a guy you trade up for when you really don't need to.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just to throw a different answer in here, I'll go with cornerback. I'm wondering. I looked at PFF Big Board before our show here, and I saw J.C. Horn from South Carolina at 14. I wonder if that's someone that maybe is on the radar. They see what Jair Alexander did out of the ACC at cornerback. J.C. Horn's a little bit bigger than him. I'm just wondering if, one player out of the ACC worked. I wonder if they're going to try to tap into that again, try to get, 2 studs out of the ACC.
That's possible. And I don't think that's a bad pick at all if they did go that route. And obviously GMs and front office people throw smoke screens all the time during this time just to throw people off their tracks. Gutekunst did say earlier in the offseason that he thought this draft was super deep at cornerback and offensive tackle, which makes me think they won't do that round 1.
Yeah.
Just because I think that's him. I don't think he's clever enough or cares enough to do the smokescreen thing. I think they probably will wait.
I think that's what he wants you to think, that he's not clever enough.
Maybe, or maybe he's doing like a triple reverse psychology on you, and actually he is stupid. I don't know.
Next thing we know, Ashton Kutcher's going to come out and just punked at the draft.
That's hey.
No. It's going to be the Blake Griffin double punked show. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, you thought you were surprising Packer fans? Surprise, bitch, you're fired. Something like that. So
that'd be better. I would be more in favor of that. But I mean, cornerback. If we took cornerback round 1, sure, we could swing and miss, I guess. But I think I would walk away from that pick probably being happy, unless it was like a super reach.
I don't know. I feel like maybe this is just a pessimism in me, but I feel like any pick right now that's not a quarterback, I'll be happy with in the first round.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that, which is unfortunate, but I think I feel the same way.
The one thing I would say, if they do take a cornerback in the first round, I am not an expert by any means on these cornerbacks, but just from doing some of those draft profiles that you can see on Flurry Sports, I basically did all the cornerbacks, all the top ones: Farley, Surtain, Samuel. Caleb Farley, I'm going to be honest, I don't know why he's at 11. The only guy I would hope that I would be fine with the Packers taking first round is Surtain, which I don't think he's going to fall. But no. If they really could reach, I could see them taking a guy like Newsome or Melifonwu, first round. And oh man, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm already depressed. And the draft is like 3 weeks from now.
Yeah, I feel you. I do think there's actually a good crop of like second round cornerbacks that I think are at the very least just as good as the first round guys, to your point. I think you could say that about a bunch of positions. I think wide receiver even. I don't know. But now let's just start talking about offense, who they should go after. And again, I will say that the Packers haven't drafted an offensive lineman in the first round since 2011. However, if the Packers do want to trade up into that 15, 20 range, maybe this guy drops as well. Very, very possible. I would be so fucking happy if the Packers drafted Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. Trevor talked about the draft profiles. You can go to flurrysports.org to look at Tevin Jenkins. I don't know who stole this guy's milk and cookies when he was a kid, but this guy's fucking pissed off 24/7 and he buries people. He just absolutely kills people whistle to whistle, and I love it. The way this guy plays, he's just a nasty old school offensive lineman, which I love. But he plays offensive tackle. He plays exactly like an offensive guard in a tackle's body. So I think he has that versatility that the Packers like. I think he could really easily convert to a guard, which makes me like him even more. Being a 6'6" guard, have the Jenkins duo at guard and guard, I think it would be nasty. I think like just doubling with either Patrick or Runyon, whoever's playing center, it doesn't really matter. Like whoever they're doubling on up to backer, they're going to be buried in the dirt immediately. And then both of them are going to release up to backer, and it's going to be a house call for Aaron Jones every fucking time. Like, this guy is so damn good. And his only knock, from my point of view, is that he could get beat by these speed rushers. Like, his footwork's not amazing. But again, if you hide him on the inside at guard, it doesn't matter. So that would be an unbelievable pick. That would be a pick that could elevate this group to the best offensive line group in the league by far when Bakhtiari comes back. And geez, like, it doesn't matter who the Packers have at running back, but like I said on Twitter, if you have Tevin Jenkins running and just absolutely like snapping necks out there with AJ Dillon running behind them, defensive coordinators are going to be shitting their pants in first quarter. And like when it comes down to like January in Lambeau, no one's going to want to come. And it doesn't throw Jordan Love in there. It doesn't matter. Like, Packers are going to kill people.
Here's the big problem with that. This, first of all, it makes too much sense. So it's not going to happen. Already write it off. Second of all, you know what this is? Because nobody's talking about him. This is a stereotypical, either the Patriots are going to trade up to get him or Tom Brady's going to get his ass. Everybody's going to pass this guy because nobody's talking on him because he's a monster and he played in the, he played for Oklahoma State, played in the Big 12 where they don't believe in any defense at all. This just seems like one of those guys that falls. Everybody at the draft goes, why the hell did he fall? And like within 3 weeks, people are like, why the hell did this happen? People are like, Tom Brady's the GOAT. It's like, no, look at the teams that pass on these dudes all the damn time.
Yeah,
he's going to go to Tampa Bay or the Patriots. It's basically a lock.
So, Zach, while I agree with everything you said, I'll take Trevor's role on this one and play devil's advocate here. If they do end up hiding him on the inside, like you mentioned, does that worry you for tackle?
No, I think Billy Turner's better at tackle. I think he's more of a natural tackle, even though his footwork is absolutely atrocious. It's like his legs fall asleep and his upper body's like flailing a little bit. But I think he is better at right tackle. And honestly, if we go Bakhtiari, Jenkins, Patrick, Jenkins, and Taylor, I think that's super solid. And I mean, sign Lane Taylor back to a vet minimum to be another versatile guy to back up all of them. I think this line doesn't miss a beat.
And then put in Bakhtiari too when he comes back. Holy shit!
Right. And Runyon, I think, is actually he's for sure good enough to be a backup. I think he could grow into a pretty decent interior offensive lineman. Like, I think this could be the best position group on the team easily. Now that's saying much, I guess, but yeah, still.
I don't know, Zach.
Point.
They signed a long snapper for a reason. Long snapper might be the number one position group right now.
Honestly, I can't wait. Let's day 1, 2, 3, and 4 of camp. I just want to see snap offs. I don't even want to see the guys kick. Just 40, 50-yard long snaps. I want to see that tight spiral go the length of the field. It doesn't make sense. It's not needed, but I need to see it.
I think the funniest thing that could happen this draft, it wouldn't be the worst thing, which usually you talk about the funniest thing and you're like, what's the worst thing that could happen? The funniest thing could be that the Packers pull something out of their ass, trade up, and take Kyle Pitts out of Florida. Like, they do nothing. They trade up and they get a tight end. Granted, he is a freak, but can you imagine this team trades up? They're like, holy shit, who are the Packers going to snipe? And they just draft a tight end. They're just like, fuck it. And then they put him like behind Sternberger on the depth chart or something. Tell me, I couldn't even be mad anymore. Honestly, I'd give Gutekunst an extension for that just because it would be such a beautiful troll.
I would be so angry. Kyle Pitts of all people too. I love that everyone's super high on Kyle Pitts. That's fine. I think Washington just signed a guy who's just as good as Kyle Pitts essentially, and he hasn't played football before. I think Kyle Pitts is okay. I don't know. That is a very Packers move. And to both of your point, I don't think they're going to draft Tevin Jenkins. It makes a lot of sense, but yeah, not going to happen.
I think that with a 7th round pick, the Packers should go after Coffee Cockburn, basketball player from Illinois. Might as well take a flyer on him. Basketball doesn't work. He's a pretty big guy who can play. Seems like he can play tight end.
Actually, I know someone better if I remember his name in a second here. What's his name? The big guy from Loyola who always has a harmonica at parties.
Cameron Krutwig.
Krutwig.
Let's sign him for anything. I don't care. Like, let's draft him. We just need him for a locker room guy.
I think the worst thing, we need to talk about this, man. Kofi, everybody says his name is Coburn. Okay, bullshit. There is no way your name is spelled like that, and 2 of those letters are silent.
Yeah.
That is bullshit. That is, the media just does not want to say it. Dude's name is Cockburn, and he needs to live with it, because no matter what bullshit he tells people, that is not how you pronounce his last name. It's not how names work. Okay? Just take out the 2 letters if it's not pronounced like that. Damn.
Illinois has been doing that bullshit for too long. Quit saying that your S is silent as well. Like, you guys don't know how to read. Fuck off.
That pissed me off so much. I was like, dude, I love Illinois. And then they're like, Kofi Coburn. I'm like, no. We are not playing this game. I want Kofi Cockburn on the court, not Coburn.
Here I am screaming at my TV during the NCAA tournament. His name is fucking Cockburn.
Oh, God. This is why we need to be doing some like play-by-play, like color stuff along with games. We should do that next year.
And then anytime he like dunks, say "Feel the burn," something like that.
Hey, if NCAA, if you're listening, we'll do it for free. Don't even need to pay us.
And you know what? You can do this for the NCAA basketball game, so that like you can be like, "Hey, look, that was a trial run. Okay, we just needed something fresh," and then he can just cut us. But you know what? We'll be fine with it. We'll be fine with that.
Put us in some conference that nobody cares about that's not televised. It's just
Pac-12
like a radio station. Pac-12 works for me. Pac-12 sucks. If we could do it with Bill Walton, though, I think that could be more fun. And I bet we don't talk about basketball for a second. It could be great.
Yeah. The game would be like you put our commentary with Bill Walton and you turn the video off and you're like, okay, what sport are they commentating? Like the first one to guess it, like gets a prize.
Bill Walton's a gem. Like the one thing that I always go back to is I remember him commentating a Houston Rockets game when Yao Ming was there, and he went on like a 10-minute rant about like how much rice China exports in a year. Like, this is slightly racist, but I'm learning a lot actually. So this is kind of educational.
Like, if you listen to him, you learn things.
Yeah. I don't think he's right, but he always knows. He's confident, so I believe him.
Like, he's that crazy ass teacher. Like, every high school has one. It's just absolutely nuts, and everybody's like, "This dude's crazy." And then you leave, and you're like, "Wait a second, hold on. This dude, he had some stuff figured out, you know?"
Mm-hmm. yeah. Like one every like 5 things, you're like, "Huh, that was actually weirdly deep." Not that I think he meant it, but Anyway, NFL draft. After the Packers pass on offensive line in the first round, I just want to fit this in because I bring him up every show. Alex Leatherwood continues to sit as like a 2nd-round draft projection guy. If the Packers draft Alex Leatherwood in the 2nd round, I will lose my mind. it'll just be great. Like, he is a first-round talent by far going in the second round. He is an amazing run blocking tackle, played at Alabama and a pro offense. Like, there's not much to say about Alex Leatherwood. He probably should be going in the 20s, and he's going in like the 60s, 70s probably.
Yeah, I agree. You guys probably know a little bit more about me on these guys, but a guy that I saw that I don't know if I like or not, I like his size, is Walker Little, tackle out of Stanford. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on him.
I like him. He's probably a second-round guy too. I'm not sure what his exact projection is. I can see what this
CBS Sports says he's 83rd, but 6'7". I mean, holy hell.
6'7", 300 or something.
I bet he goes in the second. I do remember watching tape on him. He's like just like hyper athletic guy. Obviously, Pac-12, everyone's like skinny over there and just runs. That's basically what it is for football too, and that's what this guy is. He big, but super, super good hips. Like, he's gonna mirror people. I would guess he sucks in run blocking, but is a decent pass protector. But again, if you put him right next to, it probably won't be Elton Jenkins, I'm saying. But even like Billy Turner, who's for sure not a pass blocker, he's more of a run blocker, put him next to him. Wouldn't be bad, especially in the second round if we use our first round pick wisely. That'd be perfectly fine. So now I don't know why I like to torture myself with things I like, but I have some wide receivers here that the Packers could draft who are not borderline. Like, they are some of the best returners in the entire draft. Like, they should pick these guys. And I'm not talking first round right now. The highest one is probably Kadarius Toney. He might be a first round guy, probably closer to second round though. I'll look at a projection for him in a second. But out of Florida, this guy is more of a playmaker than a wide receiver to me. He's 5'11", so LaFleur probably won't want to use him as a wide receiver. He has like some weird thing about 6'3" and above, but he is getting a lot of comparisons to Antonio Gibson, who played running back this year for Washington, but he's slightly more as a wide receiver. Unbelievable returner, stupid fast. And again, if we want to talk about gadget player, I think this guy could be insane, to be completely honest. And I'll just run through the other two. Luke, you probably know this guy pretty well from North Carolina. I have Daz Newsome. Again, just stupid good returner. We could probably get him like at our normal pick right now in the third round, just super late. He had a 30% missed tackle rate this year. So, every 10 times he has the ball, he's making people miss 3 of those times, which was second to only Toney, who I just talked about, in the entire country. Insanely good. He only plays slot, but I think he could be really good at slot. And Packers, again, the only good slot receiver we have right now is Devonta Adams, and that's just because he's good at everything. So if we could move Devonta out wide, have whatever slow wide receiver on the other side out wide, and then have Newsome in the slot, we could do something at least. And then the other guy is also a dangerous slot guy. It's Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan. He was the third highest graded returner in the entire country. I believe that's from Pro Football Focus in terms of grade. But third round guy as well, super quick, amazing slot, tiny, can be, if he was white, everyone would be comparing him to Wes Welker right now or Julian Edelman. That's the only thing he's missing for the Patriots to take him. But since, he's actually athletic, the Packers could use him and be amazing. I would absolutely lose my mind if somehow, some way, the Packers went linebacker, offensive line, returner. I think that would be an amazing start to the draft. What's your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'll just throw my thoughts in here on Daz. I watched him a couple times this year. Most of the time I watch college football, I watch Daz. I believe that I watched him return 2 or 3 punts for touchdowns this year, and it's just shifty. It's elusive. It reminded me of him running a little like LaShawn McCoy in his prime. What Daz does out of the slot, too, is his quick feet has got incredible release. So, it's almost like a Devonta Adams where it's a 2-step and he's open. And then I never saw him drop a ball, so I'm very high on Dez as well.
I mean, hey, a little bit of bias because he's from North Carolina, right?
That's like when I was saying that Luke May should have won first round in the NBA draft, but that's a different
part. Yeah, I mean, I like Dez Newsome. I don't watch much of the ACC because when it comes to football, I'm sorry, but they're a joke. They're really just Clemson and whoever wants to show up and only lose to Clemson. Two guys that I'm looking at, I don't think they're slot guys. I could be wrong, but I think will fall. Rondale Moore from Purdue and Rashad Bateman. Rondale Moore, I think he's going to fall, A, because he's 5'9", and B, because he has injury history, except for this past year. He's a shifty guy. He just seems like one of those short guys that can actually be really solid. Like maybe not never a great guy, but kind of like a Randall Cobb, like as a second or a third option. Like he'd be really solid. He really helps you stay true on Devonta. Another guy I think is Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. Minnesota has quietly produced a lot of very, very, very good players the last 2 years. Tyler Johnson, great receiver. He made some great plays for Tampa Bay. Kamal Martin, I believe. Kamal Martin or Chris Barnes. I always get him confused. I'm pretty sure Martin. He came from Minnesota. This guy's good too. What he was able to do with a garbage quarterback is pretty damn impressive. And, I just don't know how many more times schools like this can keep constantly churning out good recruits, good players, and teams just consistently look past them. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know if it's overthinking. Could this be the Packers don't overthink? Possibly, but I think it's more likely they'll trade up when they don't need to for one of these guys.
No, I'm not muted. Okay. Yeah. Like I was talking, I don't know, it got a weird pop up like, oh, all of a sudden you're muted now. What was I going to say? I have an interesting philosophy question for you guys, like coaching philosophy in a way. What's your guys' opinion on putting a number one guy, maybe a first round guy back at returner? Because I know some coaches just say, hey, if you're the playmaker, you go back there and make a play. Other coaches say, obviously, if you're a returner, you're never more exposed than you are as a returner. It takes one hit to knock you out for the rest of the season. Obviously, you want to save your win for offense as well. So what's your guys, both of you guys, Luke, you can start, but what's your thoughts on doing that for someone like one of these receivers or even the returners I brought up too?
I've always been in the camp that you want the ball in the playmaker's hands. There's no bigger play that can be made than returning a punt for a touchdown, right? So I know it comes with injury risk, whatever, yada yada. But there's they play football. Injury risk is always out there. I know it's a different situation, but I think the playmakers are good enough to not get injured. Obviously, there's gonna be freak stuff. So I'm in the camp of you get your fast guys, you get your good guys with the ball in their hands. I don't necessarily know. I don't know if I would throw someone like Jair Alexander out there. I know a lot of people are yammering him for him to be a returner when he first came into the league, but just because he's such an integral part of the defense, I think if you get a playmaker, I'm talking myself out of it. But if you get a stud, I think that you need to get the ball in his hands any way possible. And I think punt and kick returns are pretty much the easiest way to get a ball into someone's hands.
I absolutely agree. I mean, if the guy gets hurt, what happens? The offense was still one of the greatest of all time last season without him. So if he's out, obviously they're going to take a step back, right? Offensive line, they got a lot of other things there, but receiver was not the problem. Granted, they're going to need the receivers a little more, but you can live without a receiver when you have an Adams. What you can't live with is a shitty ass return game that we saw last year that was maybe the most pathetic special teams I have ever seen in my entire life at literally any stage. And my high school ran the rugby punt where they ran around like jackasses for 5 seconds before they kicked the ball. It's pathetic. This is an NFL team that seemingly can't even get 20 yards on a single punt all season. You need playmakers. And if you're really going to win now, you're going to take the risk. Because guess what? You need to win now. And if you don't have a special teams, it's going to be a lot harder. And the payoff, man, you get a guy like Aaron Rodgers, you get a guy like guys like this offense in better field position. I mean, it's game over.
I think my high school special teams is the exact opposite of you. Like, because I had a Hall of Fame Wisconsin coach who was a college kicker. I believe his son was a college kicker. His grandson is now the points leader at NDSU for kicking. Like, he's just a special teams guy. And we used to run like the real and surprise reverses all the time on kick returns and stuff like that, and just like take shit to the house, surprise onside kickoffs to start the game, shit like that. So yeah, completely different. However, back to this actual topic, I think I've changed my thoughts on this over the years. The coaches, I think, and it's an old school mindset who don't want to have their number one guy out there because they don't want to get hurt. I think it's old school. And it's the people who don't really value special teams. And it's becoming more and more evident because of Bill Belichick, mostly, that good special teams can win you the game, can keep you in games. If you looked at the Patriots this year, the only reason why they were competitive was their special teams, because definitely wasn't their offense, and their defense was average. For the Packers are a completely different type of it's a different scenario because we are talking about the number one offense from last season. We are talking about there's no chance of bringing in a wide receiver better than Devonta Adams because he is the best. I personally feel like as long as they are not the guy on offense, I don't want any defensive starter returning kicks. I think that's stupid. But like Giants, when Odell Beckham would go back there, I think that's bad because he was so important. But if the Packers drafted even like, who is it, Devontae Smith out of Alabama in the first round or something, and he would return kicks, I think that's fine. To your point, they're a playmaker. This is one of the best ways to make a play. And a punt return, a punt block, plays like those completely change the game. That's how you win a possession in one play.
Yeah, I think, too, sometimes it even works out where, you draft someone to kind of what we're talking about, uses a punt returner, uses like a playmaker, and they turn into a stud because of that. The first couple players that come to mind are Tyreek Hill at Kansas City and Antonio Brown at Pittsburgh. They weren't necessarily huge prospects coming out, but getting their ball in their hands, showcasing what they can do, it turns them into better players.
Yeah, there's so many athletes every year, especially this year, where it's like, they don't do the little things very well, but if they have the ball in their hands in the open field, they're a threat to take it to the house. And all of a sudden, returning kicks is a very specific skill. I get that. But it feels like you could train more of these guys to catch a fucking kickoff. Like, it can't be, it's tough. I certainly can't do it, but it's something that repetition-wise, I mean, it seems like something most people can figure out.
Well, and it seems like something like one of those things where, work, the quote is work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. It seems like one of those things where talent can bypass a lot of the stuff you need to learn. Like if you're quick and shifty, really all you need to do is be able to catch the ball. Like, you don't need great vision, right? You don't need to be able to break a ton of tackles because you're making them miss on your own. So I feel like it's something where you just need a guy who can make moves and not look like complete dunce out there. And you should be at least decent. But seeing last year, that doesn't always work out, I guess.
Yeah, to your point, I mean, athleticism and instincts. You look at Deshaun Jackson, one of the greatest returners of all time. You look at Devin Hester. I mean, they're just fearless people who are hyper athletic, who have good instincts and have very little fundamentals. Like Deshaun Jackson can't run a route to save his fucking life. He got better at it, but even still, like, whatever. As long as you don't have like just straight line speed, that's the reason why Jeff Janis couldn't do it, because I mean, he only knew one route, which was to run straight. He only has one speed, and that's straightaway speed. But Again, can't Marquez Valdez-Scantling return a kick? I know he has the worst hands of all time. Can't he figure that out? That would be a great role for him. Just run Marquez.
No, a great role for him assuming he doesn't play like he did in the playoffs. A great role from him as a guy who said, "Good job, guys," and brings the orange peels and the fruit snacks and the juice boxes. Unless he plays like he did in the playoffs, then he's like one of the best number 2s in the league. So it depends on which one you get.
Yeah. I think we all talked on this topic already this podcast. I really don't trust him. Like, if the ball's in the air and he's the one running under it, I never think it's a catch, ever. And that's because he body catches everything. It just doesn't work in the NFL.
I love how I just said that, and I'm the only one who believes in him. MVS, if you're listening to this for whatever godforsaken reason, just remember, this dude in the middle, orange shirt, never wavered, except off air through text. Then he is definitely wavered. But on air, always on your side.
To your point, Zach, where you don't feel comfortable that our number 2 receiver can't catch a ball, it is so weird because, the number 2 receivers over the years have been what? Devonta Adams was the number 2 receiver, Greg Jennings, even fucking James Jones. I feel like every time that ball was getting thrown to him, they were going to catch it. It's just such a different now that if Aaron Rodgers isn't throwing to Devonta Adams, is this ball going to be completed?
And I want to say what, people who are against you are going to comment on immediately is Devonta Adams, when he was number 2, he couldn't catch anything. However, Devonta Adams could run routes pretty much just as good as he can now. And it was very obvious he was improving the entire time. Like, it's very obvious he's putting in work and getting better and better. Now, could the limited offseason, the limited in-person work negatively affect MVS? Sure. But, we see videos of guys working together all the time. Obviously, he had the video working with Randy Moss, but that didn't help at all. I don't think he's improving. I don't see his rookie tape to last year's year 3, I believe. It looks like the same player to me. I don't know.
He kind of reminds me of Thon Maker for the Bucks. Here's why. I love Thon Maker. Thon Maker, you need to come back. But beside the point, Thon Maker is one of those dudes that in the regular season you were like, okay, this dude's all right, but he's got a lot to learn. Then you see him in the playoffs, and he just balls out, and you're like, holy shit, he's here. And then the regular season comes, and he's right back to square one. You're like, dude, what the hell? We just went over this. He just seems like that kind of guy who has all the potential in the world, all the gifts, and he just, for one reason or another, cannot put it together. And that's what scares me a little bit. But hey, as long as he plays like he did in the playoffs, I'm fine. He could be shit in the regular season as long as he looks like, prime Randy Moss in the playoffs, because that's when we actually are going to need him.
He seems too comfortable to me. Listening to interviews with him, he's cocky, which is fine. Every wide receiver is cocky, but his go-to phrase every single time was my teammates compliment me. My teammates know what they have in me. Everybody shows me love. Everyone, they know what they have. He just seems comfortable in what he is. He kept bringing up how he led the league in yards per reception, which I don't know if there's a more useless stat out there that's a commonly used stat. It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit? It also isn't him. He ran in a straight line and Aaron Rodgers buried it in his face mask and got wedged there. And hey, look at you. You made a catch. I don't know. I don't think he's got the drive. I'm calling out his heart. He's got no guts, no grit.
He's like that dude that's on the team or has a job because his dad owns it. And he knows he can't get fired. And you're like, oh, he could be a good worker, but you're like, yeah, this dude does not care. That's what it seems like. I hope it's different, but that's what it definitely looks like.
He seems kind of Peter Bukowski-ish to me.
That's a deep insult, but kind of true. Kind of true. A little douchey.
Not true. See, there are some times when Marquez Valdez-Scantling actually does, competent work. So Let's be a little nice to him.
Yeah. Bukowski hasn't led anybody in anything. At least, MVS led the league in that useless stat.
Not true. He does lead the league in horrible comebacks and shit takes. He's got to be top 5 in that. So, give that to him.
Very fair. I apologize, Peter Bukowski. You are indeed a shit person. I didn't want to take that away from you. My bad. Going back to some late round targets here. One guy I just want to highlight, and he's probably a 4th or 5th round guy at tight end. By the way, I'll say the trades and stuff I think the Packers should be doing before the draft in a second. Everyone knows that I think Jay Sternberger isn't worth the price of, his cleats even. He sucks. I think the Packers need another tight end. Hunter Long out of Boston College, I like a lot. He, to me, I think he can be George Kittle, which is a big, obviously, statement. He is everything you want. 6'5", big size, fast, hyper athletic, amazing run blocker. Can't run a route worth a damn, but it doesn't matter because when he catches the ball, he'll break 10 tackles, which is what George Kittle is. I think he could be the blocker to Robert Tunyon's receiving ability to start his career. And then I think having both of them, I think it could be an unbelievable tight end duo. Or if the Packers want to let Tunyon go after the season anyway, I think he could easily replicate what Tunyon does. And again, 4th round, 5th round, there's not much investment there. He could be taken with the 4th round compensatory pick that the Packers were given easily. And I think that's a worthwhile pick. I can't imagine, I'm not asking you guys to say what's your thoughts on this Boston College tight end, because I'm sure nobody's watched him play because it's Boston College, but just guys like that. I think that's how the Packers need to win this draft, because clearly they're not winning the offseason through free agency. They need to win these later rounds.
I will say, as an ACC Zach, I like it. As an ACC guy.
Battle tested, come out of the tough ACC. He's seen it all. He's done it all. He didn't win very many games, I don't think, but that's fine. What was that?
The chip on his shoulder.
Chip on his shoulder. Tough to win in the ACC. It's how the old saying goes. It's crazy. If there's any other late round guys you want to talk about, let's do that first.
I'm looking for Hunter Long. I don't even see he has a Twitter.
Never mind that.
Look, yeah, I'm sorry. Twitter's and everything, but dude, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign.
He's too busy working. He doesn't have time to tweet. He's just putting up weights, putting down weights. It's all Hunter Long does.
Oh, wait, here he is. Oh, Lord. Oh, no. Oh,
is it bad?
Dude, we can't. Okay. This dude. Okay, we're gonna play a game here. I do have a really good question for Trevor's question, but we're gonna play a game here. Hunter Long is in fact verified on Twitter. He is following 195 people. How many followers does this man have?
I mean, it's Boston College. He's following 195?
Yeah.
200.
I was thinking more like 14.
He is 918.
Okay.
I'm scrolling through his past tweets. Most of them don't even hit 50 likes. So maybe this is one of those guys that is man, fuck social media. Screw what you heard. I'm about to kill everybody. That's what I'm kind of getting. That's probably a stretch, but hey, why not?
Twitter shaming people in their draft profile. That's the analysis you can get here. What we should do?
Tell me that is not the most important thing. What does this man tell me from his Twitter? Nobody else is going to look this man up. So we're going to give the people what they need to know that they're too lazy to do themselves. That's that next level analysis people don't think about.
For draft profiles going forward, we should put Twitter followers as one of the stats.
This dude's a real bitch on Twitter. Don't like him.
It's very possible. If you guys want to find any other late draft round guys you want, that's fine. While I bring up a trade, a series of moves I think the Packers should make. Now, I need to preface this with it does involve logic. So it's going to be tough for Gutekunst to follow. Just timestamp this, go back, rewatch it, call me up if you want. I can explain this to you if you would like, Goot. But hey, this is going to be good. I can promise. Now, it involves 3 players. First, Trevor, you're going to like this. I think the Packers should trade Dean Lowry. And we can get a decent amount for him. I think we can get a 5th or a 6th for him because we trade him. He's only going to cost the new team $3 million. He's good enough for $3 million. He's just not good enough for 6.3. So that would save the Packers $3.3 million just like that. We save a roster spot. We're good. Next, I think the Packers should trade Jay Sternberger. Trade him for anything. Box of crayons, doesn't matter. Maybe the crayons that has like that sharpener on it. That's really fun. Give Goot something to do during games. He can color. That would save the Packers $600K. Okay, so we're up to about $4 million that we just saved. Next, we need to cut J.K. Scott because fuck him. That saves about $1 million. So now we're looking at, we just saved $5 million. I'm feeling good about ourselves. We're doing good.
Couple things.
Okay.
First of all, that because fuck them, maybe the best analysis I've ever heard in my entire life. Second of all, we're not even going to get a box of crayons. We're going to get like one of those color by the numbers where all the markers are dried out within 30 seconds if you pull it off the cap.
That's fine. That's fine. Goot might not like that. He's more of a forward thinker, not much of a now guy. So maybe we can get him some extra colors for 2 to 3 years down the road when he wants to finish the coloring. But so we just saved $5 million. We have some holes. Dean Lowry, he doesn't really fit what I think Joe Barry is going to want to do. Like, not that I think Joe Barry's going to be able to do much, but we might be doing a lot more 4-man fronts than years past. I think the scheme's going to be different. Lowry doesn't really fit. One player that could fit, especially if we run that 4. Gerald McCoy has come out. He just wants a team to give him a chance. Obviously, he signed a decent deal with Dallas last year, ruptured his quad in practice, got knocked out. He says he can still play. I tend to believe him. I think we can sign him for a vet min, which is $1 million. And for $1 million, Gerald McCoy, love it to play D tackle. Perfect. I think that's a massive signing. I think that honestly kind of replaces Dean Lowry just like that for a much cheaper. So I think that's a start. Next, we don't have a punter. We have 2 long snappers, but no punter. What do we do? Pat McAfee's coming back. He's made it pretty clear. Like, legitimately, I think he's coming back to the NFL this season. He's been dropping hints. I think he's going to go to Tampa right now. But if best friend Aaron Rodgers says, hey, come to Green Bay, we could get him for vet min. $2 million we just spent. Hey, we're good. We upgraded at punter. We upgraded at defensive line. We still have $3 million to go. What can we do? We can sign Duke Johnson for probably $2 million. That solves that RB3 problem. We also gained like a 5th and a 6th round draft pick. So we got 2 extra draft picks. We can draft another lineman. We can draft probably a couple linebackers in there in that range. I think the team gets a lot better. What's your guys' thoughts? And we got Goot coloring. We can put it on the fridge. What's better?
See, here are my thoughts. I cannot wait to sign a running back who played college at a D3 college 10 years ago, extend J.K. Scott 20 more years, and give Dean Lowry $10 million and say, go. Because that's kind of how it's going to work. Those are all good ideas.
I said logic. I understood.
I don't know personally. I think the move is when you have a guy with the talent like Funchess, you put him at cornerback and then move some of the corners to the D-line. But, Gerald McCoy would work too.
Yeah, I like Trevor's line of thinking here. We should just reorganize the whole team and see what just happens.
Everybody that's playing offense, you're playing defense too. Vice versa. You bitches don't want to win games when it matters? Guess what? You're running both sides now. It's like running 2 sides, but for football.
First day of practice, everybody's name goes in the hat. We're drawing names. We're filling out our roster spots. J.K. Scott, you're at middle linebacker. Learn to make a fucking tackle because we could have need it, bud.
Aaron Rodgers, D tackle. Ooh, that's a tough draw, buddy.
Hey, He can start doing his cadence, screw up the offensive line from the other side of the ball now. It'd be perfect. Absolutely perfect.
In all reality, though, Gerald McCoy, I like him a lot. I loved him when he was at Tampa Bay. I think he made a couple of Pro Bowls, maybe an All-Pro team there.
That's great.
Prime anymore, but I've always said that defensive linemen, and both defensive linemen and offensive linemen you can never have enough of them. It's like basketball; you can never have enough shooters. Baseball, you can never have enough home run hitters.
Long snappers.
Yeah, I mean they're part of a line, so that does fit into the category. But why not? Yeah, I think take a shot on a wily veteran who just wants to play some goddamn football.
2 years ago, he was with the Panthers. He did that 1 year deal, and he actually graded really well. He played really well, and then that's when he earned that. I think it was like a 3 year contract from Dallas. It was a decent amount of money, but he ruptured his quad in like training camp or whenever it was before game started, and then he got cut right away. So a quad is really tough to come back from. It could be worse. And he's 33, I think. He's not going to be an every down guy anymore, but he doesn't really need to be. I think he could be really good. And what it sounds like is that he's getting no interest from anybody, which if we can sign him to a 1 year prove it deal on a reduced salary cap, so next year he can earn a bigger contract, which is kind of what the Packers should have been doing all offseason, getting these 1 year prove it deals. I think that could be awesome.
Is Everson Griffin available? Because, hey, I've watched the movie Waterboy, I think it was, with Adam Sandler. Let me tell you, you put a crazy person on the defensive end, hey, good things happen. Get him, get some conspiracy theories in that head, get Rodgers to talk to him about aliens, somebody tell him his mama looks fat. Super Bowl right there. Game over. They're going to win the Bourbon Bowl, too.
I think we just take Kyrie Irving at that point, Trevor.
We could.
That's like a step too far. But yeah.
Or I think Elon Musk could fill that spot too.
Sure.
While we're in the world of hypotheticals,
okay.
I have a question. I have 2 questions. We'll do one this show, one next show, because we're already running a little late. I'll let you guys choose. We have a question about receivers. We have a question about defensive linemen.
I'm a receiver.
Stick on the topic. Okay, fine. Let's go receiver. It's an offensive show. We'll do that.
Okay.
I'm a guy.
The defensive lineman is my favorite, so that'll be good for next show. It's a good one.
Good teaser.
This one's not as fun, but it's one you got to think about. If you had to choose one wide receiver to have to look after your hypothetical kids for a month, who would it be and why? They get a regular person's salary. They don't get their NFL salary, right? So even though Antonio Brown's crazy, he doesn't get $50 million, right? Everybody gets like $50,000. Who do you? We can make this Packers or anybody. It's up to you guys.
Are we talking past or present?
I feel like present. Present's a good one.
And we want them to look after our kids, right?
Are we being serious?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're your kids. I don't think you want to put them with Antonio Brown.
Hypothetically, do I love them?
Are they legitimate kids?
Okay. It's going to be hilarious when, like, somehow, like, your wife looks back at this and is like, do you really love your kids? Because they're like, who knows? I'll
tell you the first one that came to my mind was Jordy Nelson. Obviously, he's passed. Get the kids working right away. I mean, I think that's what you want.
Good point. That's a good point. The first one that popped into my mind was Larry Fitzgerald. Like I would trust him with anything and anybody. I think he's never done a wrong thing in his life, and I know he's not going to drop them, which is good. Like if I wanted my kid to get a dent, I'd say, "Hey, MVS, come in, try to hold him away from your body, see what happens." Those kids would be dead and immediately. But yeah, Larry's not going to drop anything. And hey, local guy, Minneapolis, I think.
Yeah.
Midwestern guy.
I might have to lean towards like an Adam Thielen type of guy. You know, he just seems like a. I'm pretty sure he has kids of his own.
He does.
You know, so I feel like he's the most trustworthy. But I also feel like, to be honest, Terrell Owens is not a bad shout. Hear me out. right? What is the one thing I cannot give my kids? Like physical strength and like peak physical performance, right? All that cockiness and shit, they're only there for a month, right? I can break them down again, but they will get into the best shape ever. They're like NFL caliber ready in like a month, you know? So I think that's kind of a shout too.
Yeah, I'll go out. Trevor, I was thinking the exact same boat with you, but I'm going to go Chad Johnson.
Taking to McDonald's every day.
Right. That'll be more than I would do. But he would have those kids running, he would open up slants just on the first day he gets with them with that footwork that he teach them. He'd get him to the NFL more than I would in 18 years of raising him in one day of raising him.
And he's in touch with his feminine side, crying when he seems beautiful route running. I mean, talk about being proud in your kids. That's a shout. People don't think about that, man.
I think he often talks about how he has a couple of children, so I would assume he's good with children. I don't know what a number is for a couple. I think it's more than a couple, but whatever that worked out to be.
It's not Antonio Cromartie range, so he's good. So with that persuades me. I'm going Chad Ochocinco.
My hypothetical kids probably hypothetically have ADD or ADHD like I do. So I'm thinking maybe Josh Gordon would be good. He has Adderall just laying around everywhere. I think that could be good to at least calm him down a little bit. That's something to think about as well. So
your kids are going to come home just, it's been a month. We're just sitting there eating some Ritz crackers. Man, that's
they'll have tattoos. Like, what happened, man? My kids will age 30 years in a week.
Yeah. Got fucking Harold and Kumar on TV and shit.
Yeah, that's right. Is that your only? Yeah, that's your only hypothetical for this week. Next week, you got a good one.
You know what? I can think of two more for next week. We'll do the other one just because I like it so much. This comes from my guy Lucas in Milwaukee. Shout out to him. If you had to, we'll keep a Packers lineman to keep it interesting. If you had to pick a Packer defensive lineman to beat Usain Bolt in a race, who would it be? And when I say race, I'm saying 400, right? Because 100, 200, nobody's beating him. But 400, there's a slight chance. Like if he pulls a hammy or one of these dudes bumps into him. So if you had to pick one Packer, we'll just go offensive and defensive lineman, to make it easier. Who would you pick?
So I brought him up earlier a couple of weeks ago. I was going to pick Howard Green no matter what, Trevor. 6'5", 380 pounds, but I don't think that would stand up to Usain Bolt, so I might have to rethink this a little bit.
That's a good point. I'm going to go some guy who people forget he kind of was a dirty player. I think he could trip. I think he could bite, claw, whatever. I think Gilbert Brown, the grave digger, I think he could bury Usain Bolt immediately. He's not gonna win a foot race. He's gonna have to play dirty, but I think he could do it. What about you?
I wasn't thinking past, so I like past players, so I gotta look it up.
I think my guy Latroy Guion, after he got caught with the pounds of marijuana in De Pere here, I think he just lays a little pot on Usain Bolt before the race starts, and that's an easy one right there.
It's hilarious that you're talking about drugs and you don't bring up the GOAT when it comes to drugs as a Packer defensive lineman. My pick, without even looking up, Johnny Jolly. He is going to be so high off his ass. You cannot tell me you can't see that dude just chug, and you're like, holy shit! Like he's moving. Like he's moving. Like you just put like a baggie on a stick and you just drive a car next to him. Fucking shoom. I think if there's one guy, I think he's got that edge. He might, throw some bows, but he's still got the speed. All love to Johnny Jolly, by the way. He's the boy. We all love him. But I'm going Johnny Jolly.
That is a good one. If we were gonna, I won't go there.
Go there. Come on.
I'm just saying some linemen that have been caught with guns could use said guns. Again, hypothetical guns in this.
The scene from The Dictator where he shoots the people that try to beat him in the race.
Yes. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, like if there's a no rules race, I think there's guys that we could do. Also, BJ Raji, where is he? Like I feel like he might be trading. I bet he's looks like Usain Bolt right now.
He just comes out of Hawaii like 200 pounds, like just fit. Just you didn't even invite him to the race. You just see him like bust into the stadium and just bust ass down. And you're like, who is that guy? And he just runs off into the sunset before you even know who it was.
In all honesty, I think some of these defensive linemen might have a better shot against Usain Bolt if they just got on their stomach and tried to roll 400 maybe Usain Bolt. Yeah,
that's a good point. Probably right. Well, this was the show.
See what Janet misses? You know, you have to recruit kids. Guess what? You miss these questions that people need to know the answer to. They really do.
Something tells me that Janet wouldn't have had the same answers as we did, but
maybe not. Maybe we'll start next show with them. She could have all week to prepare her thesis on who is going to be Usain Bolt.
Hey, you have any questions? Send them to us on Twitter, man. We will put them in the show. We will 100% discuss them at way more length than any reasonable person should. Believe that.
It's a long off season, and we are just getting started. So yes, all questions. No question's a bad question. Honestly, if it's a terrible question, we may spend longer on it. We may shame you, but we will for sure. You'll hear your name on the podcast. We still bring up Peter Bukowski, and he hasn't responded to any of my tweets lately.
Either.
Hey, yeah, whatever. Well, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Shout out Bill Walton.
Shout out Bill